Hey Exotical darlings, this is Coco Exotical. Thank you for being here with me. Today we're going to talk about how they're mad because you have standards and they don't. Do you know why some people get irritated and roll their eyes when you upgrade your life? Why some people talk crap behind your back? Why some men get mad and intimidated when you won't accept their bare minimum BS? It's because you have standards and they don't. They're mad because you refuse to settle for less. Nothing exposes someone's low effort and low standards faster than a woman who actually values herself and sets high standards for herself. When you value yourself and you choose not to settle, not for dusty men, not for dead-end jobs, not for low-vibrational friends, not for toxic family members, you trigger the hell out of people who have already given up on themselves. You're proof that better exists, and that makes them mad. And again, instead of leveling themselves up and setting better standards for themselves, they choose to project their hate and envy onto you, right? They feel like you think you're better than them because you refuse to settle for the crumbs that they happily chase and accept. They think that if it's good enough for them, then why isn't it good enough for you? If they accept a man who doesn't help out around the house or who doesn't help with the kids, even though you both have jobs outside of the home, then they're upset that that's something that you won't tolerate, right? If they've been stuck at a job that they hate for the past 15 years where the work-life balance is horrible and that doesn't even pay well, then they're upset that you don't have a problem changing careers if you need to in order to work 3 or 4 days a week with better benefits and better pay, right? They're mad that you'll cut off toxic friends and family members to protect your peace while they're arguing with theirs every day and complaining about them to anybody who will listen. They don't have the confidence and the self-respect to stop accepting garbage in their lives and to demand more out of life than the crappy situation after crappy situation, right? So when they see you demanding more out of life, although they could do the same, they prefer to hate on you for wanting better for yourself instead. So there are different kinds of people who will hate on you for not settling in life, right? The first is the bitter friend. This is a person who stayed in a situationship for years or in a toxic marriage or a relationship where the man treats her like garbage, where she willingly accepts breadcrumbs and any other BS that he throws her way, right? She knows that she's settled for mediocrity just to say that she's married or just to say that she has a man, and now she can't stand that you don't put up with the things that she puts up with in a relationship, right? And that you'd rather be single than to be desperate and to be treated like crap, right? Then she'll say things to you like, oh, well, you're too picky, or you're asking for too much, or no man is going to do all of that, right? So in other words, she knows that she's settled and she wants you to settle too so that she feels better about her pathetic choice of a partner, right? Like, girl, if my standards offend you, then maybe you need to raise yours as well, right? And when you do find someone who meets your standards, then she wants to be envious because she knows that if she had raised her standards and waited a little bit longer, then maybe she would have met someone who was a better match for her and who treated her well in a relationship too, right? Or she's upset because she feels like she would have never found anyone who would have met her standards. So how did you find someone who would willingly meet your standards, right? And now she's upset because you have a true partner who treats you with love and respect while she has an overgrown man-child who she has to keep on reminding to do basic tasks, right? So the next kind of person who hates you for settling is the bare minimum, low effort man, right? So this is a guy who thought that you'd accept his basic, bare minimum, low effort behavior, right? Like he thought that he could play in your face and give you all these breadcrumbs and that you would start to chase him, right? So now he's mad that you weren't with the BS and you walked away. He wanted the wife benefits or the girlfriend benefits without a commitment, and because you turned him down, now he wants to call you difficult or spoiled or high maintenance because you didn't fall for his low effort foolishness, right? Meanwhile, the woman who accepted his breadcrumbs is lonely and miserable in the relationship, but she's the first one to tell you, oh, but he's a good man though. Like, girl, maybe he's a good man for you, but not for me. I don't play that. Your bare minimum is not my standard, right? The next kind of person who hates you for not settling is the jealous coworker. So they sat in that same dead-end job for 10, 15 years. They never asked for a raise. They never worked toward a promotion. They never leveled up in their career at all. And now they're side-eyeing you when you ask for the raise, when you apply for the promotion, when you decide you want to start your own business, right? Then she wants to go around telling people, oh, she thinks she's better than us. No, I'm just not afraid to ask for more for myself, right? While you spent this entire time playing small. The next kind of people who hate you for not settling are the family members or the friends who gave up on their own life goals and dreams, right? And now they want to convince you to play small as well and to give up on your goals and dreams. When they see you making plans and going after your dreams and hitting your goals, then they want to say things like, oh, well, you should just be grateful for what you have right now. Or like, oh, don't get too ambitious now. Or, oh, don't take what you have for granted, right? As if you shouldn't ever want more for yourself in life. So in other words, they're saying, I'm threatened by your courage and your determination to go after your goals because I didn't have any courage or determination, or I was too scared to even try, or I tried once and I failed, so that was it for me, right? So these are the kinds of people who hate on you the most because, again, your life is a mirror and it reflects what their life could have been if they didn't choose to settle for less. So instead of cheering you on or using your high standards as inspiration to raise their own standards, they choose to hate on you instead. So people like this are super insecure, right? Your refusal to settle for less than what you wanted out of life forces them to face their own bad choices in life, right? They also have a scarcity mindset. In their mind, there isn't enough success or money or love or attention to go around. So if you have it, then that automatically means that they can't have it, right? They also go around projecting all of their insecurities onto other people. They have regrets about their own life choices, so they project and label your standards as delusional or unrealistic, right? Because it justifies their own lack of effort. And who's to say what's delusional or what's unrealistic, right? There's a content creator called Alexis who always says it's only delusional until it's done, right? So people will call you delusional for setting standards or for having certain goals in life until you actually get what you want and you actually achieve those goals, right? Then they want to ask you how you actually did it. Now all of a sudden you're no longer delusional, right? So these kinds of people also have problems with control, right? So they're deeply insecure. They feel like they don't have any control over their own lives, so they want to try to control yours. And if you maintain your standards and you refuse to settle for less, then they feel like they've lost control over you because they couldn't manipulate you into changing your mind and settling for less just like they did, right? So the fact that you refuse to settle for less makes you the villain in their story because they can't handle the reminder that they've settled for less in their own lives, right? So when it comes to dealing with people like this, you have to stay focused on yourself and on your own goals and your own desires for your own life, right? You don't need to defend yourself or your standards to anyone. Let them call you picky, spoiled, high maintenance, delusional, unrealistic, all of that. That's not your problem. Your standards are set for you, by you, right? Not for their approval. You don't have to keep on explaining yourself or arguing with them. Just distance yourself if they keep on coming for you, right? You don't need to have constant exposure to people who resent your standards and want to put you down for it. Make friends with other people who have high standards as well and who refuse to settle for less. People who have low standards or who have no problem accepting the bare minimum all the time, they don't have the proper mindset to understand why people like you have high standards for themselves, right? So then when they see you getting what you want because you refuse to settle, they won't have anything to say about it because you will have proved yourself right and them wrong, right? Anyways, tell me about it. Have you ever dealt with people who are mad because you have standards and you refuse to settle for less? Tell me in the comments, and I'll see you again next time. Bye.